In this puzzle created by Strikewind, you spawn on an island and you have to bridge to the other side using the resources provided. The only problem is it gets much harder as you progress. This is the first level, and as you can see, it is incredibly straightforward. I break the logs and a little bit of dirt, and then I make planks and build across to the end. But this is one of the last levels, and as you can see, it's much harder. So can you solve this Minecraft puzzle? Watch to the very end to find out. The second level was a bit harder. I broke the 5 wood on the side and started breaking these dirt blocks that were buried in the coal. Once I finished, I only had 13 blocks and I needed about 25 to get across, so I made a pickaxe and started breaking the coal. Behind the coal there was a few more dirt blocks, so I grabbed those and made a coal block and then started building. These blocks were barely enough to make it, so I ended up doing a 4-block jump to get to the next level. Level 3 required a bit more thinking. There was a barrel with 64 bone meal and a bunch of seeds inside of it. There was wheat in front of me and a tree on the edge, so I farmed the tree. I would also like to say I'm not an idiot. These stone blocks drop silverfish, so they don't actually drop anything. I grabbed all the wheat and realized I could make a hay block, so I planted the seeds and bone mealed them again. I then made a crafting table so I could craft the blocks, but instead I just made bone blocks, which is much more efficient. I also made 12 birch slabs, and now I almost had enough blocks. I just had to break some of the dirt that was used to grow the wheat, and I started bridging. I fell while bridging, but I found out that I just respawned, so it's fine. In the next level, I was on a skyblock island made of glass with one tree, a blast furnace, and a few iron ore under the glass. I opened the blast furnace and it had 3 cobblestone. So I started breaking the tree, assuming I needed to make a pickaxe to grab the iron. So I made my pickaxe and collected the iron, and now I needed a way to smelt it. So I used the rest of my wood, making sure I saved as many blocks as possible. Now I had 3 iron ingots, but I didn't even need 3. I only needed 2 ingots because I made shears. Since there was a bunch of leaves from the tree above me, I could just shear those. So I collected enough leaves and bridged across. The next level was called signposting, so I immediately grabbed all the signs. I also checked the smokers and found an iron shovel and a fishing rod, and there were 5 blaze rods in each. In the middle of the island there was a big pool full of kelp, so I broke all of that as well. I now had 84 kelp, so I split it into 2 different stacks and used the blaze rods and the smokers to make dried kelp. Dried kelp would get me some extra blocks because I could make dried kelp blocks, and I swam to the bottom of the water to collect the sand while the kelp was smelting. I made the sand into sandstone, then made slabs, and that only gave me 8 blocks, and once the kelp finished smelting, I wouldn't have enough to get across. So I decided to use the signs to my advantage, and once I ran out of signs, I barely had enough to make it to the end. The next level was a nether-themed island, and there was a dropper with 3 blackstone and a blue ice block in it. There was also 2 wood planks above me, so I broke these and then used them to make sticks, then made a pickaxe with the blackstone. I mined all the various blocks that could be broken with a stone pickaxe, and I had a bunch of random stuff that definitely wasn't enough to make it across. There was lava with a basalt block in the middle of it, and at first this meant nothing to me, but I did some research and I found that you can actually generate basalt using the blue ice similar to a cobblestone generator. So I farmed the basalt, which took forever since it kept burning, and I made it to the next level. In the next level, there's a piece of glass with a chain underneath, a chest with a pickaxe in it, 2 iron blocks, and a crafting table. This stage was similar in difficulty to the last one, except I made a mistake of crafting chains the first time instead of iron bars. So I crafted 32 iron bars, and that was all I had to do to reach the next level. In this map, quite a few of the middle levels are really easy and not worth showing in the video, but make sure to watch the video until the end because the stages are about to get a lot harder. Also, this is what society looks like after you subscribe to me, so please subscribe to give the world a better future. Now, I had made it to level 14, and this was definitely one of the hardest levels in the map. I looked around and found an ice block with a sign above it that said Biome Temp 0. There was also a block of sugarcane, a flowing water source, and 3 furnaces and a barrel. The furnaces contained a bunch of different stuff, and the barrel had more random stuff plus a netherite hoe named Ice Pick. So I took the ice pick back over to the ice and used it to break the ice. I noticed that I needed less blocks to finish this level by looking at the other side, but that made this even more confusing. With all these items, the only thing I could think of was making speed potions, so I tried that. After I made the speed potions, I was lost and I was trying random stuff when I accidentally removed the water source. I tried placing the water back underneath the ice block and now I knew what to do, but I had to restart in order to do it. So I started again with a different plan. This time I was going to use the spot that said Biome Temp 0 to generate ice, so I grabbed some items and broke the barrel. I placed the barrel to block off the water and quickly placed down the sponge so I didn't absorb all the water, but I got a wet sponge. I placed the sponge in the lava bucket inside of a furnace and it dried the sponge and I got another water bucket. Now I could place the water to make an infinite water source, which kept turning the corner block to ice, and I farmed the ice until the ice pick broke. Unfortunately, I wasn't given much ice, so I had to be smart. I started brewing my speed potions again, and I used the blocks I had to make a bridge towards the end. I crafted 12 cobblestone slabs and started bridging with them. I placed ice in between so I would have momentum if I needed to jump to the end. Once I made it to the end, I jumped and I made it to the lower part of the end island. The only problem was I couldn't figure out a way to make it out of this sewer thing, so I grabbed an extra block and tried again. This time I was able to make it, and I had solved one of the hardest levels. In the next level, there was a barrel with a shovel, so I mined a ton of gravel and 2 blocks of dirt. I ended up being able to make 4 coarse dirt, and at first I was confused because I needed way more blocks to get across. But then I found out I could right-click the dirt with the shovel, and when I broke it, it would be dirt again, so I was able to dupe the coarse dirt. So I made it to the other side with ease, and now I was almost at the final room. There are 2 more rooms before the final room, but they were quite easy. In the first one, all I had to do was make a flying machine, and in the second one, I just had to bone meal moss to create more moss blocks and bridge across. Now, I had made it to the final room, and immediately there was way too much stuff in this room, so pause to look around if you want to. There were a bunch of shulker boxes, and all of them had way too much stuff in them, so once again, pause if you need. After collecting all this stuff, I had a full inventory, and there was just too many items for me to think. So I decided to just start bridging across to see what would happen. I ended up running out of blocks, so I decided to restart, but this time I had a plan. Even though it wasn't one of the smartest ways to get across, it certainly would work. So I made my bridge again, this time using a few blocks more efficiently than I had last time. My plan was to use end rods to get across, because even though I had mining fatigue on the bridge, I could still break them since they were one hit. So I made it decently far with my end rods, and then I decided to do something stupid. I threw a snowball at the end crystal in the middle, which caused the end rods to blow up. So now I only had 1 end rod, but luckily there were flower pots in one of the shulkers, and I was actually able to do the same thing with flower pots. There are probably many better ways to finish this level, so let me know in the comments how you did it. After I made it to the end, I hit the finish button, and I had successfully solved this Minecraft puzzle.